Piers Morgan is a weird individual. A lot of the times I disagree with him and he's on the wrong side of things, but every now and again he has a good take and he is actually on the right side of things. And in this clip, we're going to see Piers Morgan go head to head with former Prime Minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett, on all things to do with Israel, the Iran war, and how it is looking in terms of the United States and Israel losing the war in Iran. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts towards the end. And if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We're under 10,000 subscribers away from 100,000 subscribers. Let's get into it.
On Iran, as we were sitting down to do this interview, Donald Trump has just announced he's backing down on his proposed 20% toll on ships using the Strait of Hormuz. Posting on Truth Social, he says he's committed to keeping a blockade in place on Iranian ports, but said he would replace what he called a 20% United States reimbursement fee with trade and investment deals with Gulf states and the region. I mean, this is just another, it seems to me, vaguely farcical development here, where it's almost like this stuff is just being made up as we go along. And then when people say it's a ridiculous idea, it gets abandoned and there's a new idea. But at the center of all this Iran war is turning into a massive embarrassment for both the United States and Israel, isn't it? Is there any other way of looking at it?
Absolutely, there's another way of looking at it. We have a regional bully who wants to go nuclear. Now, everything that we see, all the elements of violence, of bulliness of Iran would be multiplied 1,000-fold if they had nuclear weapons. And what President Trump is correctly doing is taking action to prevent that from happening. He's been consistent about this from the very beginning. You know, he's been very clear that Iran must dismantle its nuclear program. And obviously, as he's maneuvering within this realm, there's a lot of actions that he's taking, but he's not changed his basic goal, which is to dismantle Iran's nuclear program, because life will be hell for everyone in the region. This is not about Israel. This is about the world if Iran is the same bully, but with a dozen nuclear bombs.
OK, but then this time last year, we had a 12-day war. And at the end of it, President Trump announced that Iran's nuclear program aspirations have been put back decades. So why are we sitting here together now with me interviewing you, with you saying that the whole point of this war was to do what Donald Trump said had been done this time last year?
Look, dismantling a regime that's been working for 30 years, 40 years on becoming a terror octopus in the region, that's killed thousands and thousands of civilians across the region, that is terrorizing its own people and aspiring to acquire nuclear weapons, that's no easy endeavor. And you're better off doing it early, even that it's not pleasant. And I'm not suggesting this is easy. It's not going easy. But you got to do it. Because if you don't do it, you get a North Korea with nuclear bombs.
Yeah, but that wasn't...
So
with respect,
obviously
though,
there's bumps in the road.
Right. But Naftali, that wasn't my question. My question is, why are we back in this position, given what happened last summer in the 12-day war? We were told publicly by the president that this had put back their nuclear program by decades. What happened? Was that a lie? Was that bad information? Did Mossad just not get the right info? What has happened? I'm completely bemused. Why, within 8 months of that definitive statement, we're back having another war with Iran to get rid of a nuclear program that we were told had been removed for decades. And then you look at the way this war has developed. We were told it'd be over in 2 to 3 weeks. We're now 4 months into this war. They still have all their enriched uranium. They have the slain Ayatollah's son is now the new Ayatollah and believed to be more radical than his father. The IRGC remain in control. There's been no public uprisings whatsoever. And the Iranians have got a clear, firm control of the Strait of Hormuz. Despite what President Trump says, they control it. And they're firing off rockets still and missiles at the neighbouring Gulf states. And it seems to me no part of this war can be, at the moment, claimed to be going well for the United States and Israel, unless I'm missing something, because unless they're handing over the enriched uranium, or you can definitively say you've destroyed their nuclear capability in a way we were told had been done last year, I don't see where the victory is here.
Look, when you're in the midst of an ongoing campaign, and it's not a one-off, this takes time. What took 40 years to build might take a bit of time to dismantle. And yes, the attacks were effective. Yes, they pushed back Iran's nuclear program, almost totally destroyed Natanz, collapsed the Fordow underground facilities, but Iran still aspires to acquire nuclear weapons. And yes, we do have the nuclear enriched material that's buried under Fordow. So there's still work to be done, but we're way better off than we were when they had a whole program that was racing towards a nuclear weapon. So we're better off.
I've only got your word for that, haven't I?
Finished everything? No, we've not.
Yeah, but the problem is, Naftali, I've only got your word for that. I mean, how do we know we're better off? I thought this time last year, I was labouring under what turned out to be a massive misapprehension that the 12-day war had put back Iran's nuclear program by decades. And again, I simply just ask a simple question. That was obviously not true. So how can we now believe public statements by Israel or by the United States which say the same kind of stuff? Are we going to have to wait till this time next year and discover that's all a load of hogwash too? Because I'm just not sure what I can believe anymore.
God bless people had more trust and belief in Churchill and Roosevelt in World War II during the setbacks, because when you're fighting a regime, it takes time. It takes time. There are setbacks. And with all due respect, this war is not an all-out world war. It's not that tens of thousands of people are dying every day. We're talking about it's unpleasant. Some people are dying. We in Israel, we in the Middle East are paying the price for Iran's aggression, but we understand that we need to pay a short-term price of sometimes taking missiles, etc., onto our homes here in Israel to prevent a much worse situation. We have to grow up, really grow up a bit. And I know everyone's looking at a stopwatch. We're not 100%, but we're working on it. We're doing our very best to dismantle this huge terror regime that it would all be incredibly easy. All they need to do is say, we don't want to annihilate other countries. We just want to build Iran. All of this would go away, but they don't.
Look, I don't mind being told to grow up. However, from where I'm sitting, I am deeply cynical about the claims being made about what has happened to Iran. I just don't see any of the stuff that you're saying is actually happening. Right? They control the Strait of Hormuz. And as long as they can do that, they can shut that down whenever they want and cause absolute merry hell with the global energy market. And they can cause merry hell with the economic business models of their neighbours by firing off missiles which go right to the heart of the attempts by the Gulf states to say, come here because it's safe and sunny and prosperous and you can enjoy sport and entertainment and so on. Everybody knows what's going on. And so for every time I hear from, with all due respect to people like yourself from Israel or Donald Trump or others saying, no, it's all going great, I'm reminded that we were told what we were told last year. I'm reminded that Trump said at the start of this war now that actually it would take 2 to 3 weeks. Then it was 5 to 6 weeks. Now we're into 4 to 5 months. I'm not seeing any sign of this ending. I'm not seeing any sign of the Strait of Hormuz moving to US or Israeli control. I'm not seeing any of that enriched uranium being handed over. I'm just seeing a regime that's just carrying on, that knows there's an existential threat to it, and is like, well, frankly, what are you going to do about it? Because I don't see what you can do about it, short of committing vast amounts of ground troops, which no one's got the appetite to do.
So everything you just said is all the more reason to persist in ensuring that Iran doesn't acquire nuclear weapons. Because what we've seen now is that they're terrorizing the region. They're willing to close the Straits of Hormuz. So, yeah, we can just wrap up and say, Piers Morgan says this is unpleasant. Let's just wrap up, get the hell out. And what we'll see is a year and a half from now or 2 years from now, we'll have a nuclear Iran with tens and tens of thousands of ballistic missiles that reach Europe. And then we'll talk again. So I'm not saying we're a choice between pleasant and unpleasant. we've got two bad choices, but one is much worse, and that is caving in to this thug that is threatening the entire Middle East, the entire world, and capitulating now and meeting them in a much worse situation 2 years from now, because then we will be helpless. Because they acquire nuclear weapons, no one can touch them.
You see,
so
the
we're
problem
doing
is
the thankless
I agree.
job of working against this thug and against this sort of intimidation, and we're not going to let them bully us. Is it going perfectly? Of course not. This is a very difficult situation. We do not choose we don't make the choice for Iran to be a bully or not. We have a choice how we react to Iran, and if we listen to statements like you're suggesting, my friend Piers, all right, yeah, it's not going perfectly. Let's get the hell out and we'll meet them with 20 nuclear bombs that can reach London. Let's talk then. So no, we're standing up, not for Israel. This is not about Israel. This is about the entire Middle East and the entire world, because if we let up, if we let these thugs intimidate us, we're going to meet them with intercontinental ballistic missiles that reach London and Paris and Washington, D.C. just a few years down the road. So we should be thanked for standing up to this bully, not being told it's not going well enough. It's going tough.
I would happily offer you my profuse thanks if I thought any of this was actually working, but it's not. And my fear is that actually what you've done is embolden the Iranian regime. I agree with everything you say about that regime. It's a despicable regime. It oppresses its own people. It is the octopus of terror with its tentacles spreading to the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah. I know all this, right? I don't make any pretense about it. But there are lots of awful regimes in the world. North Korea is a good example. Russia, China, there are lots of them, right? And it doesn't mean that you go in and attack all these places. I think this was an ill-conceived war, an ill-conceived mission. I don't think anyone was quite sure what they were trying to achieve. And out of it all has come the worst-case scenario of the Iranians realizing it doesn't matter what happens in conventional warfare, because they control this stretch of water which holds the world's energy market over a barrel. And I don't see anything has changed that whatsoever. And nor do I see any enriched uranium being handed over. So until those two things are dealt with, I don't see how this is anything but a fiasco.
I fully disagree. I think you're... All right, so you again, we're in a world of alternatives. Now, the alternative is to let this bully acquire nuclear weapons. Piers, they already acquired enough highly enriched uranium for 11 bombs at 60% uranium enrichment. That means within weeks they could have achieved 11 bombs, all right? We prevented that from happening. Is that not worth anything? We're standing up for them. You know, I can imagine that if the year was 1934 and we had stopped Hitler and emboldened him, so Piers Morgan would have said, what are you doing? You're emboldening him. No, you have to stop these thugs early on. And I want to say another thing. North Korea never talked about annihilating another country. Iran says it wants to annihilate another country. It says it wants to control the Middle East. It says it wants to dominate the world with the export its Islamic terror ideology. If you don't stop it when it's small, you're going to face it when it's too late. It's unpleasant, but you know, Piers, it's not the end of the world. You're not taking mortars and missiles on London right now. So the cost of fuel is a bit higher. This is unpleasant. It's not pleasant for anyone. It's not pleasant for UAE or for Israel or for Bahrain or for Kuwait. But we all understand in the region that it's a tiny price to pay, and you're not paying any price there in London. It's a tiny price to pay to prevent a much, much worse situation. I would expect you to understand this as a student of history. Look at history. So yeah, it's not going easy, but President Trump is standing up. The Straits of Hormuz, Iran does not yet control the Straits of Hormuz. That's what's up for grabs right now. And President Trump is trying to prevent that. It's not easy. We need to back him facing these bullies. It's so simple. I don't understand what alternative. The alternative is to lay back supine and let these guys go nuclear?
No. But if it was simple, you'd have won this war as quickly as you claimed you were all going to. And you haven't.
I didn't say it's simple. Piers, I never said it's simple.
Did.
This is not a simple situation.
Donald Trump assured us 2 to 3 weeks, this is all over. Turned out to be Nonsense.
Well, I want to say something. I want to say something about Donald Trump. Every other president in America's history said we need to stop Iran. We won't let Iran acquire nuclear weapons. Now, there's two options. If you don't mean it, fine. Then fuss about the cost of energy and let them acquire the nuclear weapons, and we'll meet when they have 50 bombs, and then they'll control the Strait of Hormuz, and no one will mess with them. Or what President Trump did, he's the first president whose actions reflect the statement, we will not let Iran acquire nuclear weapons. Either you mean it or you don't mean it.
Yeah, but you actually do have to. Yeah, but
President Trump is doing exactly the right thing.
Okay, he's just not succeeding at the moment, and that's, I'm afraid, a big problem. Because if he doesn't succeed, it's all very well.
Man,
I could say, I want world peace and everyone to give up their nukes. If I don't achieve that, I've failed. So unfortunately, the problem is for all the bellicose rhetoric about
we were.
Look, Naftali, for all the bellicose rhetoric I'm hearing about this, I just like to deal in cold, hard facts. We can all see what's happened. This war is unfortunately.
But you're in the middle of the battle. You're in the middle of the battle.
Right.
You are in the middle. It's not ended. And the way to succeed is to back such a correct effort of dismantling Iran and not stand a stopwatch.
I don't think you are going to dismantle Iran.
Trump.
But here's my problem. I don't agree with what is being done.
I think we can.
I don't think the tactics are working. I don't think the strategy works. I don't think you all know really what you're trying to achieve. Is it regime change? Do you think you can do that? Is it about encouraging the people of Iran to rise up? Can you get control of the Strait of Hormuz? I'm not seeing any of this happen. So at the moment, I'm very cynical about the success of this war. I don't think it's going the way that you all
Fortunately, well, Piers, fortunately, the world is led right now by Donald Trump, who has a strong vision and is less cynical. I mean, you could have told Churchill, you failed in Singapore, I'm cynical. You failed in Italy, I'm cynical. You're not going to do the D-Day now. Oh, come on, you're just continuing wars.
Churchill didn't spend every day. Churchill did not spend every day of World War II putting out statements saying we've beaten the Nazis, it's all over. Or saying they're all nice guys, and then the next minute they're the worst people on earth. We're going to blow up the whole of Germany. Then we're going to do a deal. We're going to do a deal 38 times. We still haven't got a deal. He didn't do that every day because actually, as you know, the problem with that is unless any of this happens, eventually you look like the boy that cried wolf. And that's where we've found ourselves. And I find it very depressing that we're continually being bombarded with this. It's all going swimmingly. Nothing to see. It reminds me of that guy, Comical Ali in the Iraq War. Do you remember him? Nothing to see here, Gov, as literally the Americans were behind him. I mean, it's it's getting a bit ridiculous. And I'm afraid I don't like to see that. I would love this to be going the way you think it is. But at the moment, I don't think it is. Anyway,
I would also look. No, Piers, but this is a very important point. President Trump has his style. He has his unique style that we're all aware of. But I also want to say the guy delivers. He brought the Abraham Accords. He brought the deal in Lebanon. All right. He delivers time and again. Now it's tough. He's got his unique style. I think that we need to stand behind him. There have been achievements. Has everything been achieved? Absolutely not. We're smack in the middle. I also want to say it's not that horrible versus the alternative of a nuclear Middle East.
Okay.
And that's why I'm backing President Trump. And I think that the West needs to. Otherwise, we're going to be terrorized by these freaking bullies with 50 nuclear bombs. And then the world will really look bad.
Okay, Naftali Bennett, I always appreciate you coming.
Do you know the interesting, funny part about all of that? The last line he said, freaking bullies with nuclear bombs. Do you know Israel has nuclear bombs, but they just don't admit it and don't tell anyone? Don't you think that's interesting? Not only do they have nuclear bombs and they don't want to tell anyone about it, but they've in the middle, I was about to say they've just done, but they're in the middle of a genocide within Gaza. They're in the middle of one in southern Lebanon. But this is the problem that these guys don't get and they don't understand. They've lost this war when it comes to the narrative. There's polling and there's data that basically says that they are the most disliked country in the world. Now, let's get down to actually what was said. Let's start first and foremost with the timeline, because it's unanswerable. You know, last summer, they declared that Iran's nuclear program was set back decades. And then 8 months later, another war is now taking place. So the thing that Naftali Bennett doesn't want to answer is this: it was either a lie then or it's a lie now. Which one is it? Which one is it? Because the line that it is that Piers said when he said, "I've only got your word for that," it's basically the entire interview in 7 seconds. When a government's claims about the last war were false, its claims about this one don't get the benefit of the doubt no more. They don't. Also, when you can see that a government has continuously repeatedly lied during a genocide, you don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. And that's not cynicism. It's not that at all. That's arithmetic. It really is that simple and that straightforward. But the problem with everything that's going on is this: even by Naftali Bennett's old admissions, when he said the enriched uranium is still buried under Fordow. Now, the problem is this: if it's still buried after the claims that it is that Israel and the United States made last year, well, what makes you think that you can get it out this year? The answer is you probably can't. But it's no surprise. Now, when I was speaking earlier, when I said about you don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore, Donald Trump has been a major contributor of why that's the case. Trump promised 2 to 3 weeks, and then it changed to 5 to 6 weeks. And now it's month 4 with no endpoint in sight. And this is the anti-forever war president running now a forever war. And that is what makes the credibility of this administration, as well as Israel's administration, just look completely hollow. No one believes what they're saying because of the fact that we've been fed too many lies. And I say we because, yes, this Iran war is even affecting me right here in the UK. Like I consistently tell you guys, before this war, 90 to 95 pounds, Great British pounds, to fill my car with diesel. Now, post-war, during the war, anything from 110 to 135 Great British pounds each and every single week to fill my car. So I am still feeling the effects right here in the United Kingdom. But this is as a result of Donald Trump, as well as Israel, miscalculating what was going to happen. And now we're here. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this clip down in the comment section below. And do the usual stuff. Give the video a thumbs up, hype the video, and push it in front of as many people as possible. As I said, if you're not subscribed yet, do me a massive favor and hit that subscribe button. We are less than 10,000 subscribers away from literally hitting the 100,000 subscriber mark. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.